So this workshop is the third and final workshop for this particular part of the cohort. Is a geo-testing workshop. Bharti is my senior data scientist who is a geo-testing expert.
So geo-testing has 3 different phases. The first phase is the design phase, and the second is our flight, and the third phase is going to be our results analysis. During the test design phase, let's get into the first one, that is geo-test design phase. First step for this phase will be collecting the data. There are 3 categories of data that you need for performing this design process. One is source of truth data, the other one is the platform data, and finally we need population data. Next step in this phase will be exploratory data analysis. There are different ways. The first one is a pivot table analysis, where we will look at the percentage of conversions that comes up from each of these geos. This tells us about the market size. Another way of doing an analysis would be looking at the time series chart, and that will tell us if there is a seasonal or cyclical behavior in the data. What we can decide from this information is that I want to run this test in any other period than the peak period. Let's talk about doing market selection. And the data that I have is a weekly data. So these are all some parameters that we want to define at the beginning. Following that, we will provide the source of truth data. And the next step is top market analysis. So what we do here is identify the geos, the DMA specifically. This is an exploratory data analysis sheet which gives you 2 charts. Based on the chart, you can also select what is the time period of the data that you want to use for market selection. For the market selection algorithm to work, there is an R script. So once you run the R script, you'll get 2 outputs. One is a list of markets like this and corresponding metrics. And what we'll do is copy that into our template. So the minimum detectable effect is going to tell us lowest level of lift that these set of geos can enable you to measure according to the algorithm. The next phase is feasibility analysis. You'll have to first provide the list of DMAs that we've identified for our test cell here. And all these things I've also summarized in this sheet, and this is something that is going to help us to make the decision. So it's like a decision matrix. The next phase is test flight phase. There are 2 types of tests, a holdout test and a scale test. For a holdout test, we will go dark on the selected geos, and scale test will be we'll be scaling up on spend for a specific set of geos. And it's a best practice to keep checking in between, like the test execution is correct. Now moving on to the last phase, geotest results phase. So first, very important thing is for us to identify a reference period. And another thing that we can do is visualize the geo level time series data. So this will tell you visually if you can see any lift. Now moving on to calculating the lift. One methodology is difference in difference. Use the difference between these 2. So the difference between the estimated or predicted test conversions and the actual test conversions is going to be the percentage, is going to be the lifted conversions, and that will give us the percentage lift. Once we give all this information and run this code, you will be getting a result like this. Now we have a significant result, and I'm going to summarize everything together in this sheet.
Have you guys done any other kind of test, like maybe a on-off test to measure the incrementality?
Often when we do testing, it's an incremental exercise, right? And how that affects, overall media planning and strategy.
When you're doing the market selection, do you ever include a manual step to consider things like demographic profile or other things that, say, the GeoLift package might not capture?
Thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks.